Now, they have to be fine-tuned. They have to be structured. We know that folk ain't going to agree with all of this, but we can push them to agree with some of this to the degree that it's going to accrue to our benefit. Body cameras alone are not the answer because, and we're not stupid, we know that, because Eric Garner was filmed live and on living in color TV and the grand jury still didn't indict the police officer. Right. And anytime Bill O'Reilly says there's a problem, anytime George Bush says, wait a minute, I think there's a problem, there must be a problem. When they say it's a problem, it's a problem. So there's a problem. However, I'd rather have body cams than not have them. That's just part of it. Training is part of it. Education is part of it. Cultural orientation and appreciation is part of it. None of those individually are the answer, but when you put all of that together, it can make for a better relationship between the community and the police officers and law enforcement officials that's supposed to serve them. On all cars across the country, you see protect and to serve, not to kill and destroy. That's what they say. We're here to protect and to serve, not to kill and destroy. And right now what we're seeing is more kill and destroy than protecting and serving. And let me say this, diversity is important. But diversity ain't alone the answer. Because a lot of police more loyal to blue than they are to black or brown.
That's right.
The woman who stood out there when Eric Garner was on the ground was a black female sergeant who didn't say a damn word. So just because you got a diverse police department don't mean that that's going to be the answer. That's one of the answers, however. Maybe somebody from Linwood might be on the department, might remember back in the day. But if they ain't on the department, ain't nobody gonna remember back in the day because there wasn't nobody there. So all of that is important. And it's very important too that the president and the AG are finally pushing some change. And they're articulating many of the same concerns that we have articulated. And one of the things that I think is to our benefit, because police departments and others, they may argue, but if we infuse our concerns within what the president and the AG are also saying, what the feds are saying, folk got to pay attention to that, because particularly where they are in alignment. And there's some things that they're saying and that they're crafting that find themselves in alignment with what we are saying and are doing, which is of benefit to us, particularly as it relates to funding, as it relates to training, as it relates to the cultural orientation. They have acknowledged that America has a problem, and America does have a problem, us, and how to deal with us. The other thing that we want to lay out, particularly, if people in here and other places, if you have not, or if you have, go back and review it. But if you have not read the 1967 Kerner Commission report, you need to get it and read it. It's online. You can read it in an evening, in an hour. It makes a good read. It outlines everything that we're talking about right now. We ain't saying nothing different than what Kerner and his commission said in 1967. Militarization? No. Community relations, community policing? Yes. Diversity of police departments? Yes. Jobs and education? Yes. How the media inflame situation? Yes. How to stop rumors when they occur? Yes. How to treat people with basic respect to avoid these situations? It's all in there. It's in this. The problem with the report is that they never implemented it. Lyndon Johnson rejected his own report because of the politicians and the white community that could not accept this. Ronald Reagan went in a whole nother direction. American Recovery Act or something like that. But this report, why it happened, what happened, and what can be done to prevent it from happening again. It's all laid out right there. So I encourage you to get a copy of this. And see, I think right now probably most police departments don't know nothing about it because they ain't never read it. They don't know how to act. Just give you an example. First level of intensity. It had 3 levels of intensity. First level of intensity, police practices, unemployment, underemployment, inadequate housing. Second, inadequate education, poor recreation facilities and programs, ineffectiveness of the political structure and grievance mechanisms. Third level, disrespectful white attitudes, discriminatory administration of justice, inadequacy of federal programs, inadequacy of municipal services, discriminatory consumer and credit practices, inadequate welfare programs. These are all things that led to what they determined created what you see in Ferguson, New York, and everywhere. This is not just about Mike Brown and Eric Garner. It's about the conditions. And let me say this because I know a lot of us wrestle with this stuff, and I'm sure when the media comes in, well, what about they going to ask us about what y'all think about the folks looting and rioting? I already know they're going to ask that question. That's to take you off point. In 1967, 66, Dr. King was marching peacefully and nonviolently across the country. There were over 120 riots in cities across America at the same time he was having nonviolent demonstration. He had nothing to do with that. He was having nonviolent demonstration. And so they tried to jam Dr. King always. Well, Dr. King, you are marching out here nonviolently and all them people out there rioting and looting and all that. What you think about that, Dr. King? Well, Dr. King's response was, because he knew they was trying to jam him, I certainly support massive nonviolent protests and militant civil disobedience that's peaceful. But it would be totally hypocritical for me to stand here and to talk about nonviolent protests and then to criticize those who are rioting and looting on the same issues and without talking about the conditions that created them in the first place. See, if in order for us to deal with that, you got to address the conditions that propelled them. So if you don't address the conditions that propel them, then you're getting the results of what has created them. Riots are the language of the unheard. That's what he said. And he went on to say that if you were to calculate all of the slum violations in communities across America and add them up against the riots and the looting for the past few days in urban communities, I tell you that the hardened criminal would be the white man. Mm-hmm. Now that's a Dr. King you don't hear every day. That's right. But that's what he said. So when you talk about that, if we're not addressing the conditions, then we're not really addressing the things that create them. Therein is why we would be concerned about water. Because if you can't drink, you can't bathe, you're going to be pissed off. And you're going to piss somebody else off who don't want to be sitting next to you. And you got to steal somebody's water for your family. Amen? Wait a minute. Amen? I I know I ain't no holy rollers up in here. I'm just simply saying, and I ain't advocating none of that. I'm just really pointing out the facts. And that's why, as a part of this, long term, because Chief Craig and his folk are not going to be the ones that's going to bring jobs to the community. That's public policy. That's the mayor, that's the state, that's the government, that's our Congress people. That's policy, and we know who's running the Congress right now. But all that's important. So what I'm trying to say, I'm just trying to lay a foundation so that as we address these issues, that we have those kinds of thoughts in mind. Now, I will also say to you that we will be asking for meetings going forward with the state, that's the governor and his people, because they have an impact on policy. Michigan State Police. Money comes to the state for police departments, and you know that the president has said that they're going to provide $263 million, large part of that for body cameras. Well, that may mean some of that is coming to Michigan. And we want to make sure that Detroit gets its portion of what is in store for Detroit. What plan do you have if something like that were to jump off here? And if you don't have a plan, then let's create one so we don't find ourselves with folk dying, being locked up unnecessarily, and disrespecting each other. And it's good for both the police as well as for the citizens. I want to meet with them. The mayor's office has already called, indicating that they certainly are in tune and in support of what we're trying to do. They don't know all what we're talking about, but they are certainly saying that they want to be a part of resolutions and this discussion. They've already indicated that. So there are a number of steps that need to be taken. And so we need to craft what makes sense, what may be doable, and to go forward in that regard. So today what we are doing is to updating you. A number of people have signed, a number of organizations have signed on to the coalition as such, and those organizations, some of you represent the coalition who that are here this morning, and members of the coalition at this point are, and if I'm wrong at any level, you can correct me, and if you are here representing an organization and you want to be a part of the coalition, then you can certainly let us know, Mr. White or Camellia, but just a partial list of the members of the coalition. I'll just read them off. The ACLU of Michigan, the Arab Civil Rights League, Black Family Development Incorporated, CARE of Michigan, the Change Agent Consortium, Detroit Board of Police Commissioners, Detroit Branch NAACP, Detroit Catholic Pastoral Alliance, Detroit Coalition Against Police Brutality, the Ecumenical Theological Seminary, the Fannie Lou Hamer Political Action Committee, the Freedom Institute for People Empowerment, LACED, the Michigan Black Bar Owners Association, the Michigan Black Chamber of Commerce, the Michigan Legislative Black Caucus, the Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion, More Black Press Incorporated, Moses, excuse me, the offices of Congresswoman-elect Brenda Lawrence, Office of Congressman John Conyers Jr., Peace Action of Michigan, the Progressive National Baptist Convention Incorporated, and the United Church of Christ Michigan. Did I miss anybody, or did I overlook or say something out of school? Those are the individual organizations at this point that are part of this. If you want your organization to be listed with us, then you need to give us your name so we can add you to this. As I said, this is a partial listing, and we will continue to add on as we go forward.